Hi everybody, this is Eugene O'Loughlin and welcome to my series of short how-to videos. In this video, we're going to learn how to use an if statement to control output in OR. So before I start, let's take a look at some calculations, of which I'm then going to use to determine different outputs depending on the value calculated. And I'm going to use the body mass index or BMI calculation to do this. In a previous video, which was video number 16, we showed you how to perform the calculation. So I've got that code here. So first of all, I'm going to set a person's weight at 90 kilograms. So 90 kilograms, if you are using pounds, that's just under 200 pounds. And the height I'm going to give is a height of 1.8 meters. Run those two pieces of code. 1.8 meters is around about 5 feet 10 inches if they're what you use. So if you're going to use pounds and inches, you need a different formula. My formula here using kilograms and meters is the weight divided by the height squared, or height multiplied by height. So here's the calculation for doing that. I'm just using the abbreviations here to calculate the vector BMI. So let's now run this piece of code. And then in my line of number 11, I'm going to check the result by printing out a message, your BMI is, and then whatever value is in BMI, which has been calculated on the previous line. So let's run that, and we can see the BMI value is 27.77 recurring. Now what can we do with this? First of all, we need to take a look at a diagram. And this diagram, which is available in my GitHub, as are all the scripts and exercise files used in this series, the link to which is in the message area underneath this video on the YouTube page. In this diagram, first of all, at the top, you can see how the BMI calculation is made up. It's a person's height in kilograms divided by their weight in kilograms divided by their height multiplied by their height. And the result then falls into four categories. Now there are different calculations for BMI and different interpretations of it, and I'm using this one here. So if a person's BMI or body mass index is less than 18.5, then that person is regarded as being underweight. If the person's BMI falls between 18.5 and just less than 25, then that's regarded as the healthy weight. So this would be a target BMI for most people. If a person's BMI falls between 25 and 30, they are regarded as overweight. And if a person's BMI is 30 or more, any value over that, they are regarded as obese. So what I want to be able to do now is I want to test in which of these four categories the BMI that I have just calculated is going to fall into. Now I know from the console that my BMI value is 27.77 recurring, so I know that value is going to fall into the orange category here. That value is between 25 and 30. That person then would be regarded as overweight. It's about halfway between those two values. So let's keep those values in mind. We're now going to write an if statement, if iterative statement, to test which of these four categories my calculated BMI is going to fall into, and then I want to display a simple print message to that person telling them whether they are underweight, whether they have a healthy weight or normal weight, whether they are overweight or whether they are obese. So let's go ahead back over to my code and do this. To do this, I'm going to need an if statement. And in the previous video, number 43, we learned how to write a simple if statement. So if function, open and close brackets, and in my if statement here, I need to first of all test if my BMI, I'm going to start at the bottom, just bring the diagram up here again. I'm going to start at the bottom. So I'm going to test, is the BMI less than 18.5? Because if I started at the upper end, if is the BMI 30 or more, we'll have more complications. So logically, it's best to start at the bottom value, 18.5. So let's go ahead and do that. So if WGT is my weight variable, BMI is less than 18.5. So if that condition is true, well, if that Boolean condition is true, then I need a statement. So I'm going to use my curly brackets here. RStudio puts in 2, press enter. And you can see that RStudio will display a blank line on line 14 and the closing bracket on line 15. So on line 14, I'm going to put in a simple statement, print a message. And this message is going to be, you are underweight, as the chart will have shown you a moment ago. Just correct that typo. So now I can now run my if statement to test if this condition is true and will I get this message. So I'm not expecting it to be true because my BMI calculation is 27.7 and we can see that that is not less than 18.5. But nevertheless, let's execute this. And we can see the code is replicated, but we get no output because this condition this condition, BMI less than 18.5, is not true. Therefore, I am not getting this message. This message will only be displayed if the condition is true. So what I need to do now is I'm now going to test, going back to my diagram. So I've tested for whether the value is underweight. Now I'm going to test, is it between 18.5 and 24.99? And the simplest way to determine that is the value less than 25? So I'm going to go to my line 15 here and put in an else if statement, E-L-S-E space I-F, else if statement, and an open and close brackets again, and press enter to move down to the next line. So this is my else if statement, and I need a Boolean statement in here in open and close brackets. So else if the condition in here, this time I'm going to test for BMI less than 25. So just to remind us, in the diagram we are testing, is it less than 25? I don't need to test if it's greater than 18.5 and less than 25. I can just test to see if it's less than 25. So if that condition is true, I need a print statement, open and close brackets. In this case here, the message is that the person is normal weight or healthy weight. Okay, so let's run this again. And now again, I'm not expecting this statement to be printed because my value for BMI is 27.77. So run this piece of code, and again you'll see the code is replicated, but no message is displayed. Neither of these two print statements are being executed because the Boolean condition is being tested. First of all, BMI less than 18.5. That's not true. Therefore, the following print statement is not executed. When we go to else if, is BMI less than 25? That's not true. Therefore, we're not getting the second print statement executed. So now I need to test for a third. So bring up the diagram again, and now I'm going to test to see if the person is less than 30. Okay, and in this case, we have a value 27.77. Therefore, we would expect the value here to be executed. So let's go and see how that works. So I need a second else if statement, open and close brackets. Else if BMI is less than 30, then we need, after this statement, again an open and close curly brackets, press enter, and this time I want a print statement with the message, you are overweight. Okay, come down to the end of the if statement. At all times watching that there are matching brackets, not just for the open and close brackets after each message, and also the curly brackets. So make sure that they are matched. If any of these are left out, it could cause confusion or your code not to execute properly, or for an error to be generated. So I'm now ready to execute this piece of code. Remember, the calculated value of BMI is 27.77. So when I place this, we can see at last in the console, we are getting a message telling the user that they are overweight. And the reason why I'm getting that message is that this line 18 is being executed because, first of all, is BMI less than 18.5? No, it's not. Therefore, that statement is false and the next line is not executed. Line 15, is BMI less than 25? No, it's not. Therefore, the next line on line 16 is not executed. The third if statement, is BMI less than 30? Yes, it is. Therefore, the print statement on line 18 is going to get executed. And fine, what happens if somebody is over 30? We then need a further else condition. So we don't need an else if this time, just a simple else statement, E-L-S-E. And we don't need to test for any condition here because if any of the above three conditions are not true, then this statement is going to be executed. So an open and close curly brackets and a print statement using our open and close apostrophes, and the message here is that you are obese according to this formula here. Again, be careful about how you choose. Right, so if I now run this again, I still get the message you are overweight because of the four statements that are being printed here. It's the one on line 19 is being printed because I've tested to see is a BMI less than 18.5. It's not. I've tested to see if it's less than 25. It's not. I've tested to see if it's less than 30. That's true. Therefore, I get the print message, and the last print statement is not going to be executed because only one of these are executed. After the statement print you are overweight is displayed, the code jumps to the end. So if you change your values, all right, so if I change my values, let's say I change the weight, for example, to 110 kilos, okay, so that's quite heavy, so rerun that. we can see in our environment that the weight value has now gone up to 110. Leave height the same. Recalculate the BMI. Print paste and tell that the BMI is 33.95. So when I now run my if statement, this will tell me that the person is obese because we've gone through in sequence. So 33.95, that's not less than 18.5, it's not less than 25, it's not less than 30, it is everything else. So that's the else statement here, is covering all other statements. If the first three are not true, then the message you are obese is executed. So experiment with different values here on lines 5 and 6, and with your output here. You can have more elaborate output if you want to get a person's display. Your weight is 110, your height is 118, therefore your body mass index is 33.95 and you are overweight. So you can display all of that using print paste commands. So I'd urge you to do that, but be very, very careful with the logic from lines 13 down to lines 21 here, watching your brackets, making sure that they're matched, and also the Boolean conditions here. These are set by you according to whatever criteria that you choose. So that's how you use an if statement to control output in R. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you for your attention.